great.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
And perhaps maybe in that 5 years' time, a lot of kids, maybe their lives would have changed
Absolutely,
because of the
yeah.
work you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, some of these kids that you're helping, I'm sure maybe some of them have their parents,
They do.
but because of situations, they are unable to help them. When you meet with some of these kids' parents, what do they tell you?
Specifically, with my organization, I don't help kids that have parents or that have families.
So it's just
It's just the
orphans.
kids that lost their families in the war, like when the fight that happened in 2013, 2016. Those are the kids that I help. And also, you know, before I could recruit all these kids, I have to do like a background checkup to be able to know, like, really,
To understand their family
who
background.
are you? Like, where did you come from and why are you on the street? What really pushed you to be in this kind of fun, you know? Because some kids are so crazy, you know, what I can narrate it. Like, they ran away from the house maybe because they don't want to go to school, or maybe they don't want to do something, so that they can just go and hover around, you know, have drugs and all that. So before I could take any kid, like before I could help any kid out, I have to know first, like, specifically, where are you from? Like, do you have parents? Or if I find a kid who has their parents in Juba, I'll be able to go and make sure that he goes back home, you know, and be with the family. And if they want support, or if he becomes serious, I'd be able to go and pay for the school fees. And he goes to school while he's in the family house. That's what I do.
You mentioned earlier that you're an entrepreneur, but you didn't tell us what kind of entrepreneurial businesses you're involved in.
Yeah, well, actually, currently, I have a general trading company. That's how I can specify it. Like, it's something to do just with general trading things and all that. And the reason why I came up with this also, I felt a lot of people are obligated to be putting themselves on the political things rather than focusing on the business side.
Something else
So,
so
if 80% of the youth is involved in the politics,
yeah.
and the 20% in the entrepreneurship side, okay, let's see, where will they be generating the money from? It's from the 20%, yeah?
Exactly.
Which means at the end of the day, that 20% will not be able to do anything to the country because they have to help the other 80% who want to be involved in the politics. What if we just reciprocate? Let's say 80% are involved in the I mean, like in the business section, and then 20% are involved in the politics section. It will be like a balancing thing, you know. Those youth that have made it, let's say, like, we have a lot of youth that have made it in the business section and have already like accomplished a lot of things, you know. And I believe, like, if 80% of the youth make it in the politics side, 20% that are involved in the politics will not have to, like, rely on the government or whatever it is. I believe those 80% would be able to, you know, invest in them and help them out with their political views. And maybe when an election comes or whatever it is, they might rally and give one of the youth an opportunity to present us in a good way, you know. So at this point, I believe, like, most of our youth will need to get involved in the entrepreneurship side rather than the politics.
And lastly, speaking of youth, one of the politicians once said that the problems of South Sudan are the youth.
Absolutely, I agree full time.
And you're doing a lot of work. So when he says the youths are the problem, and when you reflect on the work you're doing, do you also agree you're part of the problem?
I'm not part of any problem, but I can say 70% of the youth are part of the problem in South Sudan. I know people will hate me for this, but sometimes, you know, truth hurts.
What do they need to do different?
Truth hurts. Just change their mindset. That's all I can say. Like, if you know you are somebody who's educated, you've gone to school and you know these political views, you know how the country go, you know, and you know, like, you read a lot about other countries, political things, like what the other youth do, then you'd be able to just calm down and not just be posting nonsense on Facebook, you know what I mean, yeah? Like a lot of things that people are doing on Facebook right now. What if, okay, at this point, let's try to compare US and South Sudan. I know US is a very giant country. Okay, let's compare US youth and South Sudanese youth. The US youth who are online, let's specifically be honest. What are they doing with their online stuff? Aren't they making money? A lot of them are making podcasts. A lot of them are coming up with ideas of, like, making seminars. A lot of them are making, like, educational things, forums and all that. And from there, they even make, how much, let's say, like, a day, you can even find them making like $500 through online, Facebook and the rest of this. Okay, let's go back to South Sudanese youth. You find someone who's on Facebook 20 hours, and at the end of the day, what have you gained from there? Nothing. Just talking crazy stuff, you know, abusing the government, doing this, that, and that, and that, and that. And at the end of the day, when you try to reflect back and see, like, okay, we're in a modernized world, and this is what our youth is actually doing. Do you even feel proud to say that I'm South Sudanese? No, you don't. So at this point, the only way we can be able to make South Sudan a great country is for us youth to just reciprocate our mindset, think positively, you know, do things like educated people, and let's focus on the positive side rather than the negative side. Okay, if we find like some governments are not doing something great, then let it be our duty to remind them that this is not good. Like, I'm really impressed by what our youth did was it last week? About that lady that died, the musician.
Yeah, the protest they did.
The way they protest. You know, that, okay, some of the people took it in a negative way, but me, I was so supportive of that.
Yeah.
I saw, you know, these youth, they had a dream within them, you know. They had this fire within them that they needed to just show it to the world for them to know. But because they didn't have any opportunities, this death made them to be able to get to know, you know, their rights. And this is what I say, that this is our duty as youth to be able to remind the government, you know. We keep on pressuring them in a positive way, not in a negative way. Something that doesn't concern violence, you know. Which one?
The government rarely listens.
Well, they rarely listen, but if you keep on reminding them something, of course they'll get tired, you know. They get tired of whatever it is. They will say, you know, these youth are really right. This thing might be affecting them in a very bad way, you know. We need to sit down and see what we can do about it. And at the end of the day, the problem gets solved. Like now, what happened? The policies about this water tank stuff and all that, it has been changed.
It has been changed.
Things like this is how we actually end up making our country to be a different version of our country. That's how things work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of our viewers and followers, I'm sure they would like to know your, like, how can they follow you on social media, on your organizations? Like if somebody would want to follow your organization or maybe hear from you, how can they contact you?
I do have multiple social medias, I guess, and my name on social media is Amelia Ding. I have on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of it, I think. And then I have there's a YouTube channel and a podcast, blogging that I just started recently. I mean it Life with Amelia, and what I try to mean is that I'm trying to like show the world of the things that I do, my daily experience, you know, and I feel like if I end up showing people what I do on daily basis, you know, like my experience with the kids, where I go to, like the books that I read, what motivates me, what inspired me about my life history and all that, if they get to realize and see what I really go through, you know, I feel some few girls or even some few youth will get to be inspired by those specific things. So that's my blogging. It's on Facebook, it's Live with Amelia, and then on YouTube, it's Amelia Day. Yeah.
Okay. What can you tell our Nation Post viewers? Depending on what you see us do.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm really like so enchanted and I'm mesmerized by whatever this thing you guys are doing, you know. Right now, you might feel discouraged that, you know, whatever it is that you're doing is not bringing anything. But try to understand, you know, a lot of people are in quarantine, like lockdown. All of us are more entitled into like media stuff, on YouTube, on Facebook. We want to watch a lot of stuff, you know. And with whatever it is that you guys are doing, there's a lot of people that will get to view it, you know. And at the end of the day, they get inspired. So what I can really tell you guys is that keep it up with whatever you guys are doing. And to my fellow youth, just remember that wherever the circumstance that you guys might be going through right now, don't let it motivate you that that is the end of your path, you know. Every great person, every person that made it in life, they didn't just, you know, they didn't just start it overnight. They had to go through a lot of obstacles, chaotic things, experience, for them to be able to mold themselves to be who they are today. So if you always feel like you're obligated or you're pressured that you're not doing anything, just remember whatever it is, like waking up, you know, focusing on something, or maybe if you go to school, that thing is part of success. You might not understand that thing will really yield at the end of the day, but remember this, in the next 4 years or 5 years, that is something that will motivate you at the end of the day. Just always remember that success doesn't come overnight. You just have to work hard for it and always put your mindset in the right path. And remember that, you know, every great, every great thing has to go through a lot of thorns for it to be able to be something great. So let's always focus our mindset on the positive side. Let's work hard for ourselves and also for our country, and let us always make things, let us always make right choices also, and be careful, and let's be careful on what we post on social media. So at the end of the day, that's what will define who we are. So yeah, that's all.
Well, thank you so much. It was actually a privilege talking to you, and I'm sure with this kind of story you have, you've inspired very many people, and I also hope you've changed their mindset as well, you know. And it was a privilege talking to you. Thank you so much for the time. And I hope next time we shall have another program with you.
Absolutely.
You know, and we hope in the near future maybe you can visit your organization and get to interact with the people you work with. Thank you so much for the
program. I appreciate for the interview.
Thank you for the time. To our viewers, I would like to appreciate you once again for listening to us, for following our program, The Nation Post. You can follow us on our YouTube channel, Nation Post 211. You can as well follow us on Facebook at Nation Post, as well as Twitter at Nation Post 211. You get to hear from different youths. You get to follow different programs, as well as get to be inspired by different stories. And I would like to appreciate you once again for following us and for being with us. Thank you so much.